appearance day and Raghunath Das Goswami appearance day. So we'll read a little bit about each of these personalities before we proceed for the class. In the Srimad-Bhagavatam introduction, it is mentioned about Srimati Vishnupriya Devi, who was the consort, who was the wife of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's second wife was Srimati Vishnupriya Devi, who bore the separation of the Lord throughout her life, because the Lord took the order of sannyasa at the age of 24 when Srimati Vishnupriya was barely 16 years old. And to Govinda Devi Dasi, Prabhupada wrote in a letter on 30th of April 1974, Vishnupriya Devi was chanting her rounds on the beads, and after one round, she was collecting 1 grain of rice. In this way, all day and night, as many rounds as she could finish, that many grains she would cook and eat. Just see how much austerity she underwent. Vishnupriya is the incarnation of the goddess of fortune. But to teach us how much austerity and penance she underwent, I think you should follow the footsteps of Srimati Vishnupriya. Shri Krishna Rukmini Satyabhama ki jai. And this is from some Vaishnava biography. The Supreme Lord has 3 different internal Shaktis, potencies, Shri, Bhu and Leela. Bhu Shakti appeared as Srimati Vishnupriya Devi in Gaur Leela to assist Sri Chaitanya's Sankirtana moment. King Satrajit, the father of Satyabhama in Krishna Leela, appeared in Gauranga Leela as the Brahmana Sanatana Mishra, Vishnupriya Devi's father. Srimati Vishnupriya Devi overflowed with all good qualities. Her beauty surpassed the goddess of fortune. She was devoted to her parents and dutifully followed scriptural injunctions. Regularly, she worshipped Tulsi Devi and observed vows of austerity, such as bathing thrice daily in the Ganges. Whenever she met Sachi Mata at the Ganges, Vishnupriya would humbly bow down to her at her feet. Sachi Devi often thought that chaste, beautiful Vishnupriya would make an ideal bride for her son Nimai. After Lakshmi Priya Devi, Lord Chaitanya's first life, died in separation from the Lord, Nimai Pandit married Srimati Vishnupriya Devi. Chaitanya Mangala and Chaitanya Bhagavata give elaborate descriptions of this most auspicious wedding. Buddhimantha Khan, a rich landowner, bore all expenses of the opulent royal wedding of the divine couple, Vishnupriya and Sri Nimai Pandit. All the people of Navadvipa and the neighboring villages came to the wedding. During the ceremony, all eyes were on the divine couple, as if to devour the matchless beauty of Vishnupriya and Nimai Pandit. The Vaishnavas sang Hari's glories. The Brahmanas made a circle around the Lord and chanted the Vedas. A sea of joy flooded the 4 directions. Those who didn't drown simply floated in bliss. Besides the wedding, Vrindavan Das Thakur doesn't elaborate about Vishnupriya's pastimes. In Chaitanya Mangala, Lochan Das Thakur tells the pastimes not mentioned elsewhere. He narrates the especially touching last conversation Lord Gauranga had with Vishnupriya Devi the night before he took sannyasa. In a voice choked with emotion, Vishnupriya said, "Tell me, O Prananatha, Lord of my life, is it true the rumor I heard that you will take sannyas and leave me? If I lose your association, I might as well end my life by drinking poison." Responding with gentle, compassionate words, Sri Gauraraya said, "Vishnupriya, you are as dear to me as life itself. There is no need to worry. Please hear what I am about to say, for it will help you. The only truth in this world is Bhagavan and the Vaishnavas. Everything else is illusion. Fathers, mothers, children, relationships between men and women are all illusory. Krishna is the master, the real husband of everyone. Don't lament, don't worry. Your name is Vishnupriya. Therefore, fulfill the meaning of Vishnupriya and always think of Krishna within your heart." Then, Sri Gaurasundara showed his 4-armed form, which helped Vishnupriya understand his absolute position. Seeing this, vanquished Vishnupriya's grief and pain. She felt blissful. This vision and Mahaprabhu's instructions removed her bewilderment. But she kept the mentality of taking the Lord as her husband. Sobbing and falling at Lord Chaitanya's feet, she said, "I beg you to accept my humble submission. You are the most dear Lord of my life, my only wealth. Without you, without your service, I have nothing." Lord Gauranga embraced Vishnupriya with his eyes Sorry. He gave her mercy with these words, I shall travel here and there, but wherever I go, I shall always remain at your place. Understanding the supremely independent nature of Lord Gaura, Vishnupriya said, You must do what makes you happy, my Lord. Let no one be an obstacle to your divine mission. This is from the Chaitanya Mangala. Srimati Vishnupriya Devi ki jai. About Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur. This is from an article by a devotee. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur was born in 1674 in the Nadia district of West Bengal. He had two brothers, Sri Ramabhadra Chakravarti and Sri Raghunatha Chakravarti. Vishwanatha received initiation from Sri Krishna Charana Chakravarti, in whose house he lived for a long time and wrote many books. In Nadia, Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur studied the scriptures and Sanskrit grammar, poetry and rhetoric. Even as a boy in school, he was a formidable scholar who could defeat anyone in logic and debate. Although indifferent to family life, Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur married at a young age at his father's request. He was married only a short time, however, renouncing his wife and home to live in Vrindavan. Although his family and friends often tried to bring Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur back home, he was fixed in his determination to serve Lord Krishna in the Lord's transcendental earthly abode. In Vrindavan, Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur took up residence in the former cottage, Bhajan Kutir of Srila Krishnadasa Goswami, on the bank of the sacred lake known as Radhakunda. Living there with a disciple of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami named Mukunda Dasa, Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur carefully studied the books of Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Sanatana Goswami and other Goswamis, and later wrote commentaries on many of these books. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur also wrote important commentaries on Srimad-Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Srila Prabhupada in his own purports often quotes the commentaries of Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur. Srila Prabhupada often mentioned that he had been inspired in his own spiritual life by Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur's commentary on Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 41, where Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur writes that the disciple must accept as his life and soul the order of the spiritual master. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur is the author of Sri Guru Ashtagam, 8 prayers glorifying the spiritual master, which we sing in the morning, Samsara Davan Leda. Following the practice set by Srila Prabhupada, devotees in all ISKCON temples sing these prayers each morning at Mangala Arati, the first worship ceremony of the day. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur's most famous disciple was Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan. When Brahmana scholars in Jaipur challenged the validity of Lord Chaitanya's movement, Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur, the leader of Lord Chaitanya's followers at the time, was too old to make the journey and debate the challengers, so he sent Baladev Vidyabhushan in his place. By the dictation of Lord Krishna, Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan wrote the Govinda Bhashya commentary on the Vedanta Sutras and defeated the skeptics. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur ki jai. This is from the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela purport to the 10th chapter, 14th verse regarding Srila Pundarik Vidyanidhi. Today is his appearance day. In the Gaura Ganodesha Deepika, Srila Pundarika Vidyanidhi is described as the father of Srimati Radharani in Krishna Leela. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore treated him as his father. Pundarika Vidyanidhi's father was known as Baneshwara, or according to another opinion, Shuklamra Brahmachari, and his father and his mother's name was Ganga Devi. According to one opinion, Baneshwara was a descendant of Sri Shivarama Gangopadhyaya. The original home of Pundarika Vidyanidhi was in East Bengal, now Bangladesh, in a village near Dhaka named Baghia, which belonged to the Varendra group of Brahmana families. Sometimes these Varendra Brahmanas were at odds with another group known as Radhiya Brahmanas, and therefore Pundarika Vidyanidhi's family was ostracized and at that time was not living as a respectable family. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhashya, one of the members of this family is living in Vrindavan and is named Sarojananda Goswami. One special characteristic of this family is that each of its members had only one son or no son at all, and therefore the family was not very expansive. There is a place in the district of Chattagrama, now it is known as Chattogram, in East Bengal, Bangladesh, that is known as Hatahajari. And a short distance from this place is a village known as Mekhala Grama, in which Pundarika Vidyanidhi's forefathers lived. One can approach Mekalagrama from the Chattagrama either on horseback, by bullock cart or by steamer. The steamer station is known as Annapurnara Ghata. The birthplace of Pundarika Vidyanidhi is about 2 miles southwest of Annapurnara Ghata. The temple constructed there by Pundarika Vidyanidhi is now very old and much in need of repair. Without repair, the temple may soon crumble. There are 2 inscriptions in the bricks of that temple, but they are so old that one cannot read them. There is another temple, however, about 200 yards south of this one, and some people say that this is the old temple constructed by Pundarika Vidyanidhi. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called Pundarika Vidyanidhi father, and he gave him the title Premanidhi. Pundarika Vidyanidhi later became the spiritual master of Gadadhar Pandit and an intimate friend of Sarupa Damodar's. Gadadhar Pandit at first misunderstood Pundarik Vidyanidhi to be an ordinary pounds and shillings man, but later, upon being corrected by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he became his disciple. Another incident in the life of Pundarika Vidyanidhi involves his criticizing the priest of the Jagannath temple, for which Jagannath Prabhu chastised him personally by slapping his cheeks. This is described in Sri Chaitanya Bhagavatam, Antya Khanda, chapter 10. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur informs us that during his time, there were still 2 living descendants of the family of Pundarika Vidyanidhi, who are named Sri Harakumara Smriti Tirtha and Sri Krishna Kinkara Vidyalankara. For further information, one should refer to the dictionary known as Vaishnava Manjusha. Sri Pundarika Vidyanidhi ki jai. This is about Sri Raghunandan Das Thakur, his appearance day, from an article in Back to Godhead. Narahari's brother Mukunda had a son named Raghunandana, who was an associate of Lord Chaitanya. As a young boy, Raghunandan became famous for insisting that his family's household deity eat the food he was offered. When the boy's father watched to see what was happening, he saw the stone Krishna deity eating a laddu, a round sweet, from his son's hand. Hearing the glories of Raghunandan, a devotee named Abhirama Ramadasa wanted to meet him. Abhirama traveled some distance to meet the boy. They were so happy to meet each other that they embraced and danced. Raghunandan danced so intensely that his ankle bells fell off and flew 2 kilometers away. Sri Raghunandan Das Thakur ki jai. Today is also Sri Raghunath Das Goswami appearance day. From the Chaitanya Charitamrita forward, Raghunath Das, a renowned ascetic saint, heard and memorized all the activities of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told to him by Swarup Damodar Goswami. After the passing away of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Swarup Damodar, Raghunath Das, unable to bear the pain of separation from these objects of his complete devotion, travelled to Vrindavan, intending to commit suicide by jumping from Govardhan Hill. In Vrindavan, however, he encountered Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Sanatana Goswami, 2 of the most confidential disciples of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They convinced him to give up his planned suicide and impelled him to reveal to them the spiritually inspiring events of Lord Chaitanya's later life. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was also residing in Vrindavan at this time, and Raghunath Das Goswami endowed him with a full comprehension of the transcendental life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that is how, at the end of every chapter of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, Shri Rupa Raghunatha Pade Yara Asha, Chaitanya Charitamrita Kore Krishna Dasa. So he heard from Raghunath Das Goswami and the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that is how he wrote the Chaitanya Charitamrita. In the purport to the Adi Leela of Chaitanya Charitamrita, 10th chapter, 91st verse, Srila Prabhupada writes, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhashya, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami was most probably born in the year 1416 Shakabda, AD 1494, in a Kayastha family as the son of Govardhan Majumdar, who was the younger brother of the then Zamindar Hiranya Majumdar. The village where he took birth is known as Sri Krishnapura. On the railway line between Calcutta and Burdwan is a station named Trisha Bhaga, now known as Adi Saptagrama, and about 1.5 miles away is the village of Sri Krishnapura, where the parental home of Sri Raghunath Das Goswami was situated. A temple of Sri Sri Radha Govinda is still there. In front of the temple is a large open area, but no large hall for devotees to assemble. A rich Calcutta gentleman named Haricharan Ghosh, who resided in the Shimla quarter, recently repaired the temple. The entire temple compound is surrounded by walls, and in a small room just to the side of the temple is a small platform on which Raghunath Das Goswami used to worship the deity. By the side of the temple is the dying river Saraswati. The forefathers of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami were all Vaishnavas and were very rich men. His spiritual master at home was Yadunandana Acharya. Although Raghunath Das was a family man, he had no attachment for his estate and wife. Seeing his tendency to leave home, his father and uncle engaged special bodyguards to watch over him. But nevertheless, he managed to escape their vigilance and went away to Jagannath Puri to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This incident took place in the year 1439 Shakabda, AD 1570. Raghunath Das Goswami compiled 3 books named Stavamala or Stavavali, Dana Charita and Mukta Charita. He lived a long time, residing for most of his life at Radhakunda. The place where Raghunath Das Goswami performed his devotional service still exists by Radhakunda. He almost completely gave up eating, and therefore he was very skinny and of weak health. His only concern was to chant the holy name of the Lord. He gradually reduced his sleeping until he was almost not sleeping at all. It is said that his eyes were full of tears. When Srinivasa Acharya went to see Raghunath Das Goswami, the Goswami blessed him by embracing him. Srinivasa Acharya requested his blessings for preaching in Bengal, and Srila Raghunath Das Goswami granted them. In the Gauraganodesha Deepika, it is stated that Srila Raghunath Das Goswami was formerly the gopi named Rasamanjari. Sometimes it is said that he was Rati Manjari. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Today is also the appearance day of Krishna, Rukmini, Satyabhama and Gaurnitai. Their leelas I don't need to narrate. All of you are witnessing for yourself. In future, somebody will write about their leelas. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Krishna Rukmini Jaya Satyabhama Krishna Rukmini Jaya Satyabhama. Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Prabhupada. Jai Narasimha Paramahansa Parivrajacharya Shtottara Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Narasimha Paramahansa Parivrajacharya Shtottara Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्भागवतम की जय. श्री श्री कृष्ण रुक्मिणी सत्यभामा की जय. श्री श्री गौर निताय की जय. जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. Reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 26. Verse number 7. Tad asya samsritihi bandhaha tadasya samsritir bandhaha tadasya samsritir bandhaha paratantriyam cha tatkritam paratantriyam cha tatkritam paratantriyam cha tatkritam bhavati akartuhu ईशस्य भवत्याकर्तुरीशस्य. श्री श्री कृष्ण रुक्मिणी सत्यभामा की जय. भवत्याकर्तुरीशस्य साक्षिणः निर्वृत आत्मनः साक्षिणो निर्वृतात्मनः साक्षिणो निर्वृतात्मनः तदस्य संसृतिर्बन्धः पारतन्त्र्यं च तत्कृतं भवत्यकर्तुरीशस्य साक्षिणो निवृतात्मनः तदस्य संसृतिर्बन्धः पारतन्त्र्यं च तत्कृतं भवत्यकर्तुरीशस्य साक्षिणो निवृतात्मनः. Third, from the misconception asya of the conditioned soul, samsritihi conditioned life, bandhaha bondage, paratantriyam dependence, cha and tatkritam made by that, bhavati is akartuhu of the non-doer, ishasya independent, sakshinaha the witness, nivrita atmanaha joyful by nature. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Material consciousness is the cause of one's conditional life, in which conditions are enforced upon the living entity by the material energy. Although the spirit soul does not do anything and is transcendental to such activities, he is thus affected by conditional life. Kindly repeat. Material consciousness is the cause of one's conditional life, in which conditions are enforced upon the living entity by the material energy. Although the spirit soul does not do anything and is transcendental to such activities, he is thus affected by conditional life. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Mayavadi philosopher, who does not differentiate between the Supreme Spirit and the individual spirit, says that the conditional existence of the living entity is his Leela or pastime. But the word pastime implies employment in the activities of the Lord. The Mayavadis misuse the word and say that even if the living entity has become a stool-eating hog, he is also enjoying his pastimes. This is the most dangerous interpretation. Actually, the Supreme Lord is the leader and maintainer of all living entities. His pastimes are transcendental to any material activity. Such pastimes of the Lord cannot be dragged to the level of the conditional activities of the living entities. Sorry. In conditional life, the living entity actually remains as if a captive in the hands of material energy. Whatever the material energy dictates, the conditioned soul does. He has no responsibility. He is simply the witness of the action. But he is forced to act in that way due to his offense in his eternal relationship with Krishna. Lord Krishna therefore says in Bhagavad Gita that Maya, his material energy, is so forceful that it is insurmountable. But if a living entity simply understands that his constitutional position is to serve Krishna and he tries to act on this principle, then however conditioned he may be, the influence of Maya immediately vanishes. This is clearly stated in the Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter. Krishna takes charge of anyone who surrenders to him in helplessness, and thus the influence of Maya or conditional life is removed. The spirit soul is actually Sachidananda, eternal, full of bliss and full of knowledge. Under the clutches of Maya, however, he suffers from continued birth, death, disease and old age. One has to be serious to cure this condition of material existence and transfer himself to Krishna consciousness, for thus his long suffering may be mitigated without difficulty. In summary, the suffering of the conditioned soul is due to his attachment to material nature. This attachment should be transferred from matter to Krishna. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanasalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mokam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatamaham mande Shri Gurum Deenataranam. until about 1950s, 1960, approximately around that time, 1950, 1960. Until that time, scientists believed that this universe existed in a steady state. Steady state theory was prevalent. And the scientists, majority of the scientists, they all ascribe to this theory. What is this steady state? In layman's language, to put it in a very simple way, steady state theory believe that this universe is eternal. It has no beginning, no end. So that's a very easy way of anybody asking, when did the universe start? How did the universe come into being? You can say universe is eternal, steady state. So very easy way, because I don't know the answer. Right? Because if you go to a religious person, he will tell God created at so-and-so time. So easy way to refute that is, no, it is in steady state. It's eternal. But by 1950s, 60s, what happened was, even as early as 1917 onwards, scientists in their equations, they started figuring out that actually universe is not eternal. So by 1950s, 60s, the scientists came to the understanding, no, the universe has a beginning. So now, how do we answer that? How did the universe come into being? Because if the universe began at a certain point of time, then question comes, who began it? Who started it? So they came up with the Big Bang theory. And they did some mathematical calculations and all that, and they said about 13.8 billion plus or minus 4 billion years. That means about 9.8 to about 17.8 billion years ago, the universe came, the Big Bang happened and the universe came into existence. So how do they arrive at this figure? There are multiple ways to arrive at the figure. Each method you use, you will come to one figure which is around this 13.8 figure. So they said by consensus or by majority, they have all agreed 13.8 billion, let us fix it. And so that is how they have come to the conclusion that 13.8 billion years ago, the universe must have come into being. How are they coming to this conclusion? One way, one method is to calculate the life of the oldest star in the universe. And so universe must be older than that. Based on that, they calculate. And there are other ways also. And when the scientists are asked about how long will this universe last, because it has come into being means it will end also one day. So they give some various theories, big freeze, big this, big that, so many theories are there. Like one is Big Bang, like that for ending also there is so many big theories. And they calculate the half-life of the proton or neutron or something and how that is decaying, and once it decays the universe will come to an end. And so they say approximately 10 to the power of 43 years. After that, we don't know what will happen. So they say that 13.8 billion years ago, the universe came into being. 10 to the power of 43 years later, approximately around that time, the universe will cease. This is their theory, current theory. And if you ask what is the dimension of this universe, the current thinking is the dimension of the universe is about 93 billion light years. 1 light year is about 9.46 trillion kilometers. That means 9.46 trillion into 93 billion kilometer is the extent of this universe. And what is the shape of this universe? They say that the universe is flat. Now what they mean by flat, I don't know. Okay, so they say universe is flat. So the universe has a certain extent, and if you ask and that they see the 93 billion light year extent of the universe is the observable extent of the universe. Beyond that, what it lies, no, we don't know. This is what the scientists also clearly say. They say we don't know. So even if you assume beyond that also there is some unobservable part of the universe, ultimately the universe will have certain dimension. Flat, rectangular, spherical, whatever it is. So if they figure out what is the actual extent of the universe, next question will come, what is beyond that? What is outside the universe? Because if something has a dimension, then there is something outside that also, no? So they cannot answer that. So they will say the universe is constantly expanding. So that if you ask what is the dimension of the universe, no, universe is constantly expanding. So I don't have to give an answer. Now if I give an answer, I'll get stuck because next question will come, what right? So this is how the scientists give all sorts of roundabout explanations, and they have various theories, and each person according to his convenience, he will say, according to me this theory is good, according to me that theory is good. So basically, if you see fundamentally, it is all blind faith in science. As far as the beginning of the universe, the life of the universe and the extent of the universe is concerned. And it's all approximation. There is no, they will never be able to tell firmly this is it, although they may present. If you go deep into it, you will see it is all plus, minus, it may be like this, it may be like that. It's all like that. And according to this theory, it's like that. According to another theory, it's like that. If you come to the Vedas give very specific, pinpointed figures. The dimension of this universe is 4 billion miles. It is the diameter of the universe. And the universe is a Jagadanda. It is like an egg. Means it's an ellipse. It's not an exact sphere. Just like Earth also, they say, at the poles it is a little flat and at the equator it is a little bulged, isn't it? Similarly, this universe is also shaped like an ellipse, like an egg. So it is called a Jagadanda. And the dimension of this universe is 4 billion miles in diameter. And when did this universe come into being? That also accurate figures are there. The life of this universe in the Vedas is measured in terms of the life of Brahma. So Brahma lives for 100 of his years, which according to our lifespan comes to 311 trillion 40 billion years. Out of that, we are in Dviparardha. We are in the second half of Brahma's life. So we are actually, and in the second half of Brahma, we are in one day of Brahma, there are 14 Manus. And one Manvantara is about 71 Mahayugas. 6 Manvantaras have passed. So we are currently in the 7th Manvantara. And in the 7th Manvantara, we are currently in the 28th Mahayuga. So if you go by that calculation, this universe came into existence 155.52 trillion years ago. So there is no approximation exactly pinpointed. Up to the last figure also we can calculate and tell. Based on the Yuga, Mahayuga and the Kali Yuga and all those kind of things. So the Vedic scriptures give very accurate pinpointed figures with respect to the age of the universe and how many more years it is going to exist and what are the dimensions of this universe. What is the shape of the universe. And beyond that, what is outside the universe. Outside the universe, there are other universes. And all these universes are floating on the water of the causal ocean, which is the Viraja Nadi. So all these descriptions are given in the Vedas. Now, whether you accept the Vedic description or you accept the scientific description, ultimately, the fundamental point is the universe has a specific time of coming into existence, and at a specific time it will go out of existence. It has a specific duration and it has a specific dimension. It is limited in space and time. This both the scientists and the Vedas accept. Now, the figures both may agree, may not agree, that's a different issue. But fundamentally, both of them agree that the universe is limited in space and time. It has come into existence at a certain point of time, it will get destroyed, and it has got a certain dimension. At the universal scale, it is like this. Similarly, at our individual scale also, even at the individual level also, the same constraints of time and space exist for us. We are limited by time and space. We also have a specific duration. Just like the scientists cannot foretell how long this universe is going to last or when the universe came into existence. Similarly, about our life also. Okay, we can say exactly which date I took birth in this body. But when is this body going to end? The scientists cannot tell. No matter how much the science advances, they will not be able to tell how long I'm going to live. Just like they cannot tell how long this universe is going to last. But fact is, universe will also get destroyed one day. Similarly, fact is, our bodies will also get destroyed one day. And what lies beyond the universe, the scientists don't know. They don't even know the extent of the universe. Similarly, after we die, beyond this body, what will happen to us? Scientists cannot tell. But fact is, we have limited time within this body. This is the reality. So, although we are limited at the individual level and even at the universal level, we are limited. So many constraints, so many limits are imposed upon us. Still, we think we are independent. I am independent. I can do whatever I want. I have right for freedom to do whatever I like. Freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of life, freedom of dressing, freedom of speech, blah, 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 all freedom. So we think we are independent. I can do whatever I want. So we want to become swatantra. We want to be independent. But what is the reality? As Kapiladeva is stating here in today's verse, our characteristic or our nature is actually not swatantra, but paratantra. Tadasya samsritir bandha paratantriyam. This very fact that we are constrained to take birth and die. Science cannot tell us, cannot predict, cannot control where we are going to take birth in the next life, how long we are going to die, when we are going to die, how we are going to die. Science has no control. Science cannot know also. But still we are thinking science is everything. With science I will control everything. You cannot control anything at the individual level. You cannot control anything at the universal level. This is the reality. We are thinking we are becoming more and more swatantra. But what is actually happening? We are becoming more and more paratantriya. We are becoming more and more dependent. So this paratantriya is the exact opposite of swatantriya. We want to become swatantra, but we are becoming paratantra. This is the reality. And because of this paratantriya, what is happening? Tadasya samsrutir bandha. We are becoming conditioned. We are becoming bound to a life of birth and death. We are bound to go on repeating birth and death at the individual level as well as at the universal level. Krishna also tells in the Bhagavad Gita that pralaya will happen, and again and again pralaya will happen. The universe will get destroyed. Universe will get manifest, and we will die and we will take birth. And when the universe gets destroyed, we will go into a state of sleep. And then again, when the universe is again created, again we will come and take birth and again continue our activities. This has been going on. See how we are totally controlled by the laws of material nature. We are totally paratantriya, but we are thinking in illusion that we are swatantra. We cannot become swatantra. That's the reality. We will always be paratantra. And what is the cause for our paratantriya? By nature, every one of us wants to be swatantra. We want to be independent of our parents. We want to be independent of our teachers. We want to be independent of our bosses. We want to be independent of birth, death, disease, old age. We want to be independent of the government. We want to be independent of everything. But are we independent? We are not at all independent. So our nature is to be independent. But we are caught up in an environment of dependence. We are dependent on so many things. We are constrained by so many things. What is the reason? The reason is because of our very desire to become independent. Independent of Krishna. Krishna, so how actually we don't know how we can become independent, how we can become swatantra. By trying to become more and more independent of Krishna, by becoming more and more independent of God, becoming more and more reliant on science, we are not becoming independent, we are becoming more and more dependent. You see, it's such a simple thing. In the olden days, people used to do all calculations, right? Even then also maths existed. People would do trade, people would keep track of accounts, how much I owe this man, how much I am owed by this person. And business used to run even those days, right? The currency may have been different, it may have been gold coins and conch shells and all those kind of things, but people would keep track. The economy would be kept track, taxes would be extracted based on calculations of profit from the business. So all maths was always existing, right? But today, we have many modern gadgets for calculation. We can make more accurate calculations. We have calculators, isn't it? What we will take long time to calculate, with the calculator, very quickly we can press a few buttons and we can get an answer. So once what was, when I was in engineering college, I've related this earlier also, some of you may remember. So in engineering college, we start using the engineering calculator. It will have sine, tan, cos, all those kind of things. Square root, you can take the root of any number, whatever you want, third root, fourth root you want, all that, just press one button, you will get the figures. And when we do all those calculations in engineering, you will have to use the scientific calculator to do all these things. So in the class, the professor would come and he would give various formulas and then various problems he would solve. The teachers do that so that the students learn how to use the formula. And every time, finally, there will be one big fraction and the professor will say, okay, calculate, and we would all press our calculator and tell the answer. So one time, one problem he was solving like this, he kept putting all the figures, putting various figures, various formula. Finally, the answer became is equal to 0 divided by something. And the professor turned around. So what is the answer? He said. Everybody took their calculator and furiously pressing. So you see, trying to become independent, we have become dependent on the calculator. 0 by what? Any number, what is their answer is 0. So you become so dependent, you are not even able to, use your brain to figure out that this is a simple answer there. So the more we are thinking we are becoming independent, we are actually becoming more and more dependent on these inventions and discoveries and all that. This is the reality. So actually, we don't know how to become independent. We are thinking through science and technology will become independent, but actually we are becoming more and more dependent. Then how do we become independent? Because that's our nature. We want to be independent. We don't want to be constrained and controlled by the laws of material nature. So how do we become really independent? Krishna tells that in the Bhagavad Gita in the 3rd chapter. Krishna says, Yastu atmaritareva syat atmatriptascha manava atmanyeva cha santushtas tatsya karyam na vidyate. So 3 things. A person who is atmarati means a person who is taking pleasure only in the self. And atmatripta means one who is self-illuminated, one who is self-realized. And atmanyeva santushtaha, one is fully satisfied in the self. So a person who fulfills these 3 criteria, Krishna says, for him, tasya karyam na vidyate, for him there is no duty. And because he has no duty to perform, naiva tasya kritenartho na kriteneha kaschana. Na chasya sarva bhuteshu kaschidartha vyapashrayah. Krishna says, a self-realized man who fulfills these 3 things. What are the 3 things? Atmarati. He is taking pleasure in the self. Atmarati, taking pleasure in the self. Atmatripta, self-realized or self-illumined. And Atma Santushta, he is self-satisfied. So for such a self-realized person, he has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his duties. Nor does he have any reason not to perform his duties. So such a self-realized soul will not sit quietly saying that I am self-realized, I have no duty to perform, I will not do anything. No, he will perform his duty. But what is the reason? Why is he performing the duty? You cannot ascribe any reason. He is self-realized, he is doing his duty. And na chasya sarva bhuteshu kaschidartha vyapashrayah. Nor has he any need to depend on any other living being. Kaschidartha vyapashrayah. So a person who is self-realized, he is not dependent on any living entity nor on any material condition. Just like we were reading about Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. He went to Vrindavan. He lived for, I think, almost 140 years or something like that. For a very long period, he was there and he lived on the banks of Radhakund. And as we read about him, Prabhupada is mentioning, he gave up eating completely. Every alternate day, he would have a little buttermilk. That's all. And practically, he would not sleep. So does this mean that, okay, I am self-realized, I've given up eating, sleeping, so I'll keep lying down, I've got no activity? No, every day Raghunath Das Goswami would pay 108 dandavats to Govardhan, because he was living at Radhakunda, foothill of Govardhan. 108 dandavat. All of you can eat 3 times a day and do 108 dandavats. Will any of us be able to do? 10 dandavats we'll do, hands, legs, back, everything will start paining. We'll say, I have to take rest. Today, Prabhu has given me too much of a task. This is real torture here. But Raghunath Das Goswami, every alternate day he would take a little buttermilk. Every day 108 dandavats. And no sleep also. He wouldn't sleep also. This is a self-realized soul. He is not under any material condition. For him, food is not required. For him, sleep is not required. Totally beyond the control of material nature. Ordinary living entities like us, we cannot imitate. Because we are totally under the clutches, under the control of material nature. We are all Paratantriya. Raghunath Das Goswami is Swatantra. Srila Prabhupada also, you see, every day in the night, till 12 midnight, he would keep translating books. And then for 1 or 2 hours, he would take rest. Again, morning, get up around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, again start translating. 4 o'clock, Manglarati. After that, chanting his rounds. And then during the day, all his disciples creating so many problems, he has to solve all of that. And then meeting various people and preaching to them. And Prabhupada would be busy throughout the day, answering various letters. Evening, meeting some guests and preaching to them. And again, the same, this one will repeat. Schedule. You see how Prabhupada was also Swatantra. He was not Paratantriya. And you can see in the last days, especially Prabhupada, he was lying on that bed and he is not barely able to speak. He is not even able to move his hand and leg because months together he has not eaten anything, drunk anything, nothing, no food at all. And one disciple is holding one dictaphone close to Prabhupada's mouth and Prabhupada is dictating the purports to the 10th canto of the Srimad-Bhagavatam. See his consciousness. Body is completely, it has become immobile. It has become totally, practically, the body is immovable. It has become so degraded, it is not possible to take the help of the body. Still, Prabhupada, his consciousness completely steady. There is no change. He is able to think and he is able to dictate the purports to the Srimad-Bhagavatam. All of you fast for 1 day on Janmashtami. By midnight, will you be remembering verses of the Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam? You take the purport of Bhagavad Gita, you will be looking at it, nothing will enter the head. Only thing that will come to the mind is stomach is growling. When is midnight going to come? When is fast going to end? This is our state if we don't eat for 1 day. And Prabhupada, months together, he has not had anything. And he is lying in the bed, whole body is so practically, the body has become immobile, and Prabhupada is still dictating the purports to the Bhagavatam. This is Paratantriya. He is not under the control of material nature. That material nature, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Mayadhyakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam hetunanena kaunteya jagad viparivartate. This material universe, which is controlling all of us, to which we are all Paratantriya, it is controlled by Krishna. Krishna is the supreme controller. And Prabhupada is mentioning the purport. In the 7th chapter, Krishna says, that Daivi Yesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratteya Mameva Ye Prapadyante Maya Metam Tarantite. Only those who surrender to Krishna can overcome the control, the influence of this material nature. And that why? Because that material nature is fully under the control of Krishna. So Krishna is controlling everybody through the 3 modes of material nature. But if we surrender directly to Krishna, then we can cross over the influence of the 3 modes of material nature. This is the only way to become Swatantra. Otherwise, we will always be Paratantriya. The use of science, the exploitation of material nature, understanding how the laws of material nature work, and exploiting that material nature to try to control it. That is not the way to become Swatantra. Because by doing all this, by understanding the laws of material nature and through science and technology, we are exploiting and controlling material nature. What are we ending up with? We are ending up with better facilities of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And Rishabhadeva states, Nayam deho dehabhajam nriloke kashtam kaman vidbhujam ye. That kind of control of material nature, which is ending in eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, that is not a real, very high standard of life. Why? Because he says, that pleasure you are getting by controlling and exploiting material nature through science and technology, that pleasure is available even to the animals like the hogs who are eating stool. They are also enjoying, no? Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, even a hog is also enjoying. Now human being can say, no, the hog is eating stool, it's living in a nasty place. I am living in 5-star hotel, I am eating with knife and fork in a nice China ware. See, I am much more advanced than the hog, all because science and technology. He can say that. But if you ask the hog, you take the pig to the 5-star restaurant, put AC, put one apron and all that, and put a plate of fork and spoon and give food, nice halwa made in ghee, put on the China ware and give it to the hog. Will he be happy? He will say, what is this nasty thing? Give me some stool here, I will enjoy. So hog is not thinking he is suffering. Hog is thinking, I am enjoying. This stool, such a nice feast I am enjoying. He is thinking like that. Similarly, human being is thinking, I am sitting in the 5-star restaurant and I am enjoying. But a higher living entity, when a Devata looks at the human being, he says, what is this nasty thing? Such a crazy thing, this fellow is suffering and he is thinking it is enjoyment. Just like we look at the pig and we say, poor pig, he is suffering. But the pig is not thinking I am suffering. Pig is thinking I am enjoying. This is called the Avaranatmika Shakti, covering potency of Maya. Maya covers our intelligence. Although we are suffering, we think that suffering is happiness. Same way, the human being also, he is thinking my arrangements for eating, sleeping, mating and defending, I am enjoying. But actually when you see from a higher status, it is all suffering. So, Rishabhadeva is saying, Nayam deho dehabhajam nriloke kashtan kaman arhate vidbhujam ye. You are struggling, you are endeavoring very hard, taking lot of austerities to enjoy that which is enjoyed even by a pig in the midst of stool. Tapo divyam putraka yena sattvam shuddhe desmat brahma saukyam tvanantam. Human form, Nriloke, the human form is not for this kind of enjoyment. This kind of paratatraya enjoyment it is not meant for. But it is meant for tapo divyam. You are supposed to engage in divine austerities. Why tapo divyam? He could have said tapo. By tapasya you come to spirituality. No, he said tapo divyam. Why? Because tapasya is taken even by material scientists and by materialists. They undertake great tapasya for the sake of material enjoyment. They will struggle hard, they will work hard, and they will earn a lot of money, use science and technology, make many discoveries, inventions, improve the facilities, conveniences, comforts. They will do all these things with great austerity. But that kind of austerity is making you only paratantriya. If you want swatantriya, what you have to do? Tapo divyam putraka yena sattvam shuddhyet yasmat brahma saukyam tvanantam. By undertaking divine austerities, that means by engaging in spiritual activities, beginning with chanting Hare Krishna, even chanting Hare Krishna is a tapasya, is an austerity. It is an austerity of the tongue and the ear. We are not allowing the tongue to speak anything else, and we are not allowing the ear to hear anything else. So this is also a tapasya, but this is a divine tapasya. Tapo divyam putrakayena sattvam shuddhyet. By that our consciousness becomes purified. Brahma saukyam tvanantam, and we will be able to experience Brahma saukya. We will be able to experience spiritual happiness. And that spiritual happiness is eternal, and it is incomparable to the happiness which is derivable in the material world. So therefore, we have to become Swatantra, we cannot become Paratantriya. And interesting thing is, once we become Swatantra, we become independent by becoming pure devotees. What happens? Ultimately, Krishna is the controller of everything. Krishna is the controller. He is the Swarat. He is the supremely independent person. And he is the controller of material nature and spiritual nature. And we become pure devotees by rendering devotional service to Krishna, by surrendering to Krishna. Mamayeva ye prapadyante mayameyatam tarantite, Krishna is said. So you surrender to Krishna, you subject yourself directly to the control of Krishna, you will overcome material nature, but still you will be controlled by the spiritual nature. So we cannot become supremely Swatantra. So then what is the point? I have to anyway become Paratantriya, I have to anyway be dependent. So instead of being dependent of spiritual nature, let me be dependent of material nature. What's the big deal? What benefit have I gained by transferring my dependence from this material nature to spiritual nature? So the advantage is, as Krishna says in the 9th canto of the Srimad-Bhagavatam, Krishna says that Krishna, when speaking to Durvasa Muni, he states, it's a wonderful verse. Aham bhakta paradhino hi aswatantra ivadvija. Sadhuvir grasta hridayo bhaktair bhakta janapriyaha. He tells Durvasa Muni that aham bhakta paradhino hi aswatantra ivadvija. Krishna is the supreme Swarat. And Krishna is telling Durvasa Muni, actually I am aswatantra. And I am also paradhina. I am also dependent on someone else. So who is Krishna dependent upon? Krishna is saying, aham bhakta paradhino hi aswatantra ivadvija. O Durvasa Muni, I am subordinate to my devotees. Those devotees who have surrendered to me, I surrender to them. He aswatantra ivadvija, and I become like as if I am totally without any independence. I become controlled. Sadhuvir grasta hridayaha. I become so much controlled by the devotees, I will go and sit in the heart of the devotees. The devotees capture me within their heart. They imprison me within their heart. Sadhuvir grasta hridayo. And I become so much subservient, subordinate to the devotees, pure devotees, that bhaktair bhakta janapriyaha. Those who become devotees of my devotee, I will become subordinate to them also. You see, if you surrender to Krishna, if you put yourself under the control of Krishna, instead of becoming Paratantriya of material nature, you become Paratantriya of Krishna, what will happen? Krishna will become Paradhina. He will be defeated by you. He will become subordinate to you. This is the nature of Krishna. Because Krishna is not a God who is simply engaged in ruling and controlling. Krishna is a very loving father. So when the children surrender to the father becomes subordinate to the children. The father's only thinking is, how can I take care of the children? How can I satisfy my child? Because the child is totally dependent on me. So the father is thinking, how will I satisfy the child? How will I please the child? Child should not cry, child should be smiling. The father is thinking only of the child. Why? Because of love. Similarly, Krishna also, if we become pure devotees, even if we don't become pure devotees, if you become a devotee of a pure devotee, Krishna will become subordinate to you. Krishna will become controlled by you. So this is the advantage of becoming Paratantriya of Krishna rather than Paratantriya of material nature. So therefore, we should become devotees, we should accept Prabhupada as our Diksha Guru, and if he surrendered to Prabhupada and take Diksha from Prabhupada, then what happens? Although I may not be a pure devotee, but I am surrendered to Prabhupada, Krishna will become controlled by me. Whatever I want, whatever I wish, Krishna has to fulfill. Krishna becomes controlled. Krishna has no choice. Because Krishna has already declared that is his nature. Aham bhakta paradhino hi aswatantra ivadvija. Sadhuvir grasta hridayo bhaktair bhakta janapriyaha. If we become servant of Prabhupada, if we become If we accept Prabhupada as our Diksha Guru and become his disciples, surrender our life to Prabhupada, then we become very dear to Krishna. So then, for us, there is no control of material nature. We will be completely in the spiritual nature, and we will experience Satchidananda. We will experience eternity and bliss. No more the distress of birth, death, and disease within this material world. So therefore, as per Kapila Deva's instructions, we should take shelter of Krishna, and we should take shelter of Krishna through the surrender to the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada, and by that we will become independent of the control of material nature. So I'll stop here. Grantharaj Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.